Good day everyone, thank you for joining us for our discussion. Today we'll be talking about a very serious topic, which is does animal need rights? So this is the topic based on our issue that we discussed before. And before we dive into our discussion, I would like to first introduce to you our panelists. To my left here is a former animal lawyer at Garner Association Animals Law, Ms. Nur Najihah. Thank you for coming. And to my furthest right is the President of People for the Ethical Theoretical of Animals, Ms. Nur Alia. Thank you for coming. And to my furthest left is an economic analyst from Satuna Capital Corporation, Ahmad Khairi. Thank you for coming, sir. And lastly, to my right is a research psychologist at University of California, Dr. Inshakira. Thank you for coming. So let's dive in. My first question goes to an animal activist, which is Ms. Alia. What is your observation in our economy now?
Firstly, thank you for the questions, moderator. And yes, there is a lot of animal abuse happen, especially in our food, fashion and entertainment industry. Firstly, in our food industry, in order to make mass production of meat, there are a lot of animal welfare happens. In order, animals are being fed until they are barely managed to walk. They live in congested area with limitation of space and live in filthy condition. Most of the meat industry doesn't provide good enough service for them. Secondly, in our fish industry, animals are being bred only for their fur. The way they die is mostly dramatic. If they are not being skinned alive, they would be gassed to death. And for your information, it takes more than 10 animals to make one coat. The rarer the fur is, the higher the value is. The higher the demands means more animals are being killed. And lastly, in our entertainment, we frequently see in zoo and circus. We might feel happy and when we get to interact with the animal, especially with what we thought the wildest one. But what lies behind the obedience toward us is much more scarier. The process to make the animals obey was very cruel. They are being whipped if they are not listening to the instruction. They are separated from their own habitat as the wildest animal in jungle. The zoo often being seen as the one who protect the animal is actually the one who is abusing the animal. This all happen just to fulfill our satisfaction. Every creature has right to live if they have will to live. All animals have the ability to suffer in the same way and to the same degree that humans do. They feel pain, pleasure, fear, frustration, loneliness, and motherly love. But animals that bred in the industry are denied of this thing. Thank you.
Thank you for that really in-depth point. Now let's ask Dr. Inshakira a question. So what Ms. Alia said about animals are being forced to do stuff that human wants. So from a psychology point of view, do you think animals have the complexity feelings as us humans?
Okay, thank you, moderator. Okay, firstly, before we go deep into this topic, let me explain a bit about the definition of the emotion. Actually, emotion can be defined as a conscious mental reaction subjectively experienced as a strong feeling directed toward a specific object and typically are accompanied by psychological and also behavioral change in our body. And scientists try to study emotion by splitting them into three parts, which is physiological and also behavioral and also psychological response. Okay, the issue whether animals actually feel emotion, this actually still remain controversial because in my research in dogs, we found that the activity in the caudate increased in response to hand signals indicating food. Okay, caudate actually is a nucleus which plays a vital role in how the brain learns. Okay, and then the caudate also activates to the smell of familiar humans, and it primarily tests inactivate to the return of an owner who had momentarily stepped out of view. But many of the same things that activate the human cortex, which are associated with positive emotion, also activate the dog cortex. Okay, and so neuroscientists call this a functional homology, and it may be an indication of canine emotion. But in another situation, some argue about my research argue about this action appears some of the action appears to be an empathetic display of altruism to prevent the hunger of appeal. Drivers found that these acts of goodwill were provided on the condition that favor would be returned when food was needed in the future. This was described as a behavior as reciprocal altruism, which is an adaptation, which also a survival mechanism. Rather than we call it an emotional empathy, we say that adaptation for survival. So, what I trying to say is, we still no proof that animals have emotion.
Thank you for that really informative point. Now, when what Ms. Alia said is animals are being abused, and while doctors said that they have the feelings, but it's not as complex as humans. So what can we as citizens do? So I'm going to ask Ms. Najiha. So being a lawyer, is there any law for animal rights in Malaysia?
Okay, first of all, thank you, moderator, for the question. Okay, in our country, for example, we do have the law for animal. However, our country doesn't have a really strong law to protect the animal right. Our law in Malaysia is more focused on human treatment, which is take care of the animal welfare rather than its animal rights. For example, there is one law in our law of Malaysia in Animal Act 1953, which stated anyone who cause or assist at the fighting or baiting of any animal or keep, use, manage or act or assist in the management shall be guilty of an offence of cruelty and shall be liable to a fine of 200 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term of 6 months or to both. So from the law, we can it is show that Malaysia actually do have law, but it is more into taking care of the animal welfare, not animal right.
Okay. So do you think these laws are enough?
Actually, in order to really protect the animal, it is not that enough and not that strong to help those animals. Especially when we heard what the opinion from animal activists and also from our psychologists. However, recently in the past 2 years, our country have made improvement in our law, which is we have tried to increase the amount of fines and also the years of the imprisonment. For example, the minimum fine for those who found guilty is minimum to 20,000 and maximum is 100,000, which is I think really reasonable for those who find guilty, and also they can be in prison for 3 years if they do this crime.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Najia. Now let's go to Ahmad Khairi, economist analyst. So, as an economist analyst, so what was your first opinion when you heard that there was an animal right?
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the Mr. Moderator for the proper introduction, and thank you for inviting me to this forum. Okay. When someone asked me about my opinion when I first heard about there's a movement of people fighting for animals' rights, I think it's a bit silly. It is because fighting for animals' rights is something that is, I would say, impossible to achieve. when we are talking about animals, we don't talk about a group of people. We talk about the animals around the globe. You know. So we are not talking about only one species here. We are talking about the entire species animals there is. And you have to know that animals and humans are two different species, two different living beings. Animals is animals, humans is humans. So animals cannot get what humans get. Animals cannot have the same rights as humans does, because we are totally different in every aspect. And we humans are given rights because we are the subject of a life. What subject of a life meaning is that we have belief, we have desire, conscience, memories, feelings, emotion, and even we have the ability to initiate action to pursue our goals. So, as Miss Ashakira said, there's no proof which show that animals have feelings or emotions. So, this statement prove that what has been taught by Saint Thomas Aquinas and Italian philosophers. He said that animals acted purely on instincts, just on instincts, while human being engaged in rational thoughts. What he means is animals cannot act on their own. They only act based on their instincts. When what he feels right, he acts. And let's be clear about this. Do you know how important animals are to our economic financial growth? Do you know how important that animals is to our food industry? Do you know how important animals in researching in order to research for our newest, latest medical improvement? So before I finish my first talk, I just want to say that you cannot simply start a movement about something without checking, looking at the impact of it. That's all.
Okay, thank you for your point. So it seems like what you're saying is animals don't really need a right because they are supporting the economy financially.
Yes.
Is that right?
Not only financially, they are supporting in every aspect. I mean, like we need animal for our research, for our new treatment, medicine. We cannot simply use human as our experimenting. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Harry. So now I'm going to ask the animal activist, Miss Alia. So why is there a need for an animal right?
Thank you. I believe the need for animal rights is to prevent unjust suffering to the animals. The unethical process of animal product proves that there is a need rights to protect them. Just because we are the dominants of the world doesn't mean we have the right to abuse them. But instead we must learn how to be considerate towards each other. For example, we kill thousands of animals only to make a few clothes. Is it permissible if they are killed only for their fur, for our satisfaction? In fashion, do we really need protein from animal in order to continue living? Vegans could prove this wrong. We don't necessarily need to consume meat in order to get protein. Vegetable could provide us with that protein, such as beans, soya bean, spinach, and other veggies. We don't necessarily need to kill animal for that.
Okay, so as a lawyer, what do you think? Can we uphold the animal rights?
I think yes, we can by making more improvement in our law. As I used to be a lawyer in other country, which we can actually our country can make can take example from other countries such as UK, US, and Canada, which is they already have their own law that really protect the animal. So as for the improvement that can be made in the future, we can create awareness in those who abusing the animal or doing such thing by instead of we prison them or give fine towards them, we can make them to doing a charity event, a charity works like take care of the animal for a few months in order for them to grow the feeling to start to love the animal. By doing this, they will know what is actually animal felt when they have a moral treatment, a human treatment.
Okay, thank you for your point. So, doctor, like Miss Alia said that one of the animals, they are being used and they are being taught to do as the human says. So, and like you said before, they don't have the complexity feelings as humans. So let's say if I'm owner of a pet, let's say I have a bird and I'm keeping it in a cage instead of letting it free, like it's through nature. Do you consider it as an abuse?
Thank you for that question. Okay, actually, firstly, I don't want to touch about that first. So, it also related with how human thinking towards the animal abuse concept, because not everyone, everyone in this world have their own characteristic, have their own taste in their fashion, their food. So that's mean there's also a different ways of thinking towards the animal abuse concept. Okay, I give you in a certain situation, which there are two ways of thinking that human will give, which is some will say yes and some will say no. Based on my research, okay, in that case of bird live in a cage, right? So life in captivity is often like a death sentence for bird, because which the bird may suffer from malnutrition and improper environment, loneliness, and also the stress of confinement. Birds are meant to fly and to be with others of their own kind of natural environment. Confinement causes birds to have temper tantrum and easily mood changes. But in other case, if the condition of the bird is worse, like their wings are broken, so we must always keep the birds in a cage so that it will avoid the birds to fly more and then will broke the wings more worstly. So it actually depends on the situation whether it can accept or not.
So it also, so what you're saying is the same as we are the one that decides what happens to them.
Yeah.
Okay. So for my last question, I'm going to ask to Harry, how important is the animal to the country and how will it affect the country?
Just to let you know that when animals have rights, it not only affects the financial part of the country, it also affects the medication, the tourism, the food industry, and even the fashion industry. So first, I want to talk about the effect based on the financial part of a country. So based on an economic study commissioned by the North American Meat Industry Institute, also known as NAMI, the meat and poultry industry contribute more than $1.2 billion to the economy and creating more than 5.4 million jobs that generate wage of $257 billion. The taxes paid by the meat and poultry industry and its employees contribute to the national defense, schools, healthcare, roads, and the government regulation of our own industry. And a report made by a professor at George Mason University found that in 2013 alone, Association of Zoo and Aquarium, also known as AZA, accredited zoos drew almost 164 million visitors to US zoos. That's a huge lot of numbers. Imagine what happened if animals are given rights. How many people will lose their jobs, and how our economy will try to survive with all the money that have been lost into the industry. Moving on to the next part, if humans' rights were given to the animals, all people will have to become vegetarians. Which would lead to a major nutritional problems. As Miss Alia said, she said that when protein from meats can be replaced by beans, soya beans, and other things. I think it's easier to talk than to do, because when you already consume a lot of meats, it will be your lifestyle to eat meats. So I think it's not really easy to replace from meats to soybeans. Not all people can do that. Currently, more than 80% of the world population cover most of their protein, fats, and iron consumption through animals products. So then let's not forget about the pests. The animals that bring harms and bring diseases. These animals, if they were given the same right as us, we cannot kill them even if they bring us harm. This will lead to death of countless of people. The lack of control of this disease carrier and hygienic pens will ensure that the disease would spread enormously and that great plague will occur. So the last part is, just like I said on my first talk, that animals play the huge role to the medical department. They use animals on experimenting their new products. The new treatment of medicine. They cannot just simply try a new treatment on human. Since some of animals such as rats and chimpanzees have similar DNA to humans, so they use them instead of just using humans ourselves to experiment their new products. So by using this, the scientists, the doctors, gather the data and understand more about the medication they are working to benefit humans. So what I'm trying to say is, when animals were given the same right as humans, they will bring more harm than good to us, to the world.
Okay, thank you for that really incisive explanation. Now, the moment for everyone dying to know the answer for, does animal need right? So I'm going to ask Miss Alia first. What is your conclusion?
In my opinion, I strongly agree that animals should have rights in order to protect them from endless torture from humans.
Okay. What about doctor?
If you ask for my opinion, then as a psychologist, I'm going to say that rather than we debate about animal need right or not, I more specifically trying to say that we as a human need to treat animals like the living things, not the things that we have. Yeah.
So what you're saying is animals don't need right, but they need to be treated equally.
Yeah.
Not as property.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about you, Ms. Najia? What do you think, as a lawyer, as a former lawyer, do you think that animals need right?
As for me, I do think that animal needs right, as my past experience in animal cases, I really think that animal do needs have their own right in order to protect themselves from harmful humans.
So which leaves us to our last panelist, Harry. What do you think?
I still stand on my point of view, which say that animals should not have rights since it brings more harm than good.
Okay, well, thank you for the panelists for giving us such a very informative discussion, and I hope that everyone watching can get a little gist from it. So that is all from us, and that is me, Muhammad Hussein, as your moderator, and I hope that you get a little bit of information from this discussion. And that is all from us. Thank you very much.